Someone, please, tell Hollywood the eternal state of Christians is not located in the clouds.
Oh, not to worry, Charlie. You'll go to heaven. All dogs go to heaven because, unlike people, dogs are naturally good and loyal and kind.
This is a place that comes after life and after dreams.
This is heaven.
Christians don't go to heaven.
What did you say?
Heaven comes to us. On the day the Lord has chosen, the Son will mount his stallion and return to the earth and wage war, and unbelievers are going to be begging the mountains to fall on them rather than face the wrath of the Lamb. But Christians are going to be looking for a mountain to stand on to get a better glimpse of him. And after Jesus reigns for 1,000 years, yeah, I'm a pre-trib dispensationalist.
What?
God is going to perform the most awesome special effect ever. He's going to remake the earth into the paradise it originally was, and heaven will then descend to this earth. You can read Revelation 21 for all of the glorious details. And it's on this new earth that you will live and reign with God forever. Needless to say, one can't help but wonder, whoa, what's it going to look like? What am I going to be doing forever? Heaven is going to be this earth made shiny and new, and God will be in the midst of it. And you and I will do many of the same activities we currently do on earth without, that sin part. The Lord isn't going to put an end to all of the wonderful blessings that this earth offers. We'll just enjoy them the way that we're supposed to. The earth is our forever home, and there's no reason to think it will operate much differently than it does now. So let's start by defining what you and I are going to be like in the new heaven and the new earth. First, you're not going to get a lobotomy before entering heaven. You don't get some sort of brain swipe. Your personality, your memories, skills, knowledges, preferences, and talents, they're going to come with you. You're not going to be made into some sort of automaton without emotions or memories. Second, you may or may not have superpowers, but you will definitely have limitations. If you didn't, well, then you could fire God and take over. Third, your body will be perfect in that it will be fashioned by God to last forever. But that doesn't mean that we're going to possess a perfect ability to do everything. You'll definitely be healed of every physical malady, but there's no reason to think your big proboscis my big proboscis will become a button nose. You might still have big feet, a bald head, or crooked teeth. It's the world that tells us these are imperfections, but they aren't in God's economy. God puts virtually no stock on externals, and it is not a sin for some of us to have a really big nose. Fourth, you're not going to be omniscient. Neither will I. Only God knows everything. And that means you'll get to learn in heaven. We enjoy learning here. Why would God remove that blessing from us there? You're going to spend eternity learning more and more about a lot of stuff, but mostly about the measureless love of God. With those thoughts in mind, let's use our sanctified imaginations to take a sneak peek into what you're going to be doing for a very long time. Let's start with work right now. Thorns and thistles, but you're not going to rest from your earthly labors in heaven. You're going to have a job in the new earth, but it ain't going to be as frustrating as it is now. In fact, you might have a lot of careers in eternity. How do we know that? Well, it starts with God's original design was for humans to work and subdue the planet. Why would we believe it's no longer good for us to work? It's just going to be work that doesn't drive us bonkers. God is a working God, and it would seem a bit odd that the Lord would be working while we just lounged around all day eating peeled grapes. Why would we get to do less on the better new earth than on this broken old earth? Work can be very fulfilling. Does it make sense that we're commanded to work unto the Lord here, but not there? Now, your specific job description is going to be this: whatever brings you the most joy. That is what you're going to be doing, that which you love to do. After all, we're talking about heaven here. So if you love logistics or architecture on this fallen earth, it's almost inconceivable that God wouldn't give you the desire of your heart in the new earth and let you flex those muscles. Your personality isn't going to be lost in heaven. While it's possible some jobs might be eliminated in heaven because there's no need for police or judges or lawyers, but you're going to work with more joy than ever before. And so even if the Lord assigns you a rotten job, you won't, but let's just say he does, you'll still love doing it because you're doing it for him. Sleeping. Tell me you don't love getting a good night's sleep or taking a long afternoon nap. It's one of my spiritual gifts. And you might be thinking, hold on, we're not going to be napping in heaven because sleeping is a sign of the fall. Are you sure? The Lord put Adam into a sleep before the fall. And if that weren't a sin, it cannot be a sin to sleep now or in heaven. Sleep is also a reminder that we're not omnipotent. Sleep isn't an effect of the fall. It is possible we might require sleep because it is a reminder that we are not God. Remember, Jesus slept. He even napped. He fell asleep in a storm. Was Jesus sinning when he took a snooze? Of course not. So just for yucks, let's say that we will sleep on the new earth. Here's a question. Will you snore? You're probably going, no, of course not, because we're going to be perfect. Hold on. Snoring isn't a sin. It's just a breathing sound that's a little bit obnoxious. The person who snores isn't sinning. The people who get annoyed with it are. Remember, having a heavenly body doesn't necessarily mean God is going to straighten your deviated septum. You might still saw lumber, but none of us are going to mind playing. Permit me to go out on a little bit of a limb here, but I suspect you never imagined you might play games, athletics, on the new perfect new earth because you think, wait a second, somebody has to lose, and that wouldn't be heavenly. Are you sure about that? It's a mistake to classify losing as a sin or an effect of the fall. Losing is a sign we're humans with varying degrees of gifts from God. So not being able to throw a 40-yard strike, it's not a sin. The fact that most of us can't hit a 100-mile-an-hour serve doesn't mean we're experiencing the effects of the fall. It isn't a curse to not be able to ace Roger Federer. The Bible has a very positive attitude toward athletics, shadow boxing, running. These illustrations remind us sports aren't intrinsically sinful. It is we who make sports a sin by cheating or being a sore loser. When you play sports in heaven, you're not going to cheat to win, and you won't be sour when you lose. You'll rejoice for the person who wins. That's going to be true of other amusements that aren't innately sinful. Board games, pogo sticks, trampolines, boats, skiing, hiking, mountain climbing. Why would God provide so many wonderful earthly amusements only to snatch them away from us for eternity? I just don't think he's going to. Let's talk about food. Little doubt, you're going to enjoy the finest culinary delights ever in heaven. Luke 14, what a scene. Jesus describes heaven as a great banquet. Luke 22, at the Last Supper, Jesus said, I'm going to be eating a meal with you when I return. Luke 12, staggeringly, Jesus dons an apron in heaven, seats his guests at a table, and serves them a meal. And if you're on his guest list, you have every reason to believe that you'll be dining in heaven and your waiter and dinner partner will be Jesus Christ himself. But brace yourself for this one. It is possible our diets are going to resemble God's original vegetarian diet plan for Adam and Eve. And it kind of makes sense in light of the fact that God only authorized the killing of animals for meat eaten after the flood. But don't panic. If we aren't going to be carnivores in heaven, you're not going to miss meat. Not only will the food be more delicious, you will enjoy food the way that it was intended. You're going to simultaneously chew every bite and be mindful of the one who prepared it for you. You're not going to be able to separate the delights of the banquet from the provider of the feast, because in heaven your mind will always be fixed on Jesus, and that makes every delicious bite even better. Clothing. What you going to be wearing? all day, every day, for forever. Will we be naked like Adam and Eve were in the garden before sin? After all, we'll be able to trust everyone on the new earth without shame. That's true. But I think we have hints that we won't be wearing our birthday suits publicly. When we get introduced to angels in the Bible, they wore clothes. Revelation 3 describes Christ ones as being dressed in white. Revelation 4, 24 elders wearing white clothing with golden crowns on their heads. We don't see anyone in the Bible in heaven portrayed as naked. Our heavenly attire will be a visual reminder that we've been clothed by Jesus and his righteousness. Let's talk about sex. I don't think that's going to be happening on the new earth, because if you recall, intimacy, it's a pointer. It's not the reality. Why would we want to participate in the lesser when we have the greater, which is Jesus Christ? Once we are with the one to whom intimacy pointed, we're not going to want the shadow when we have the reality. Let's talk about your pets. Admit it, you wouldn't mind having your beloved pooch or feline in heaven, but there's a few problems with the idea of all dogs going to heaven, but there's hints that you might have a sweet reunion with your beloved pooch. Here's problem number 1. Animals don't have souls like humans. 2, animals don't have anything to commend them to God. 3, animals are not included in the description of the rapture. 4, if animals get a special dispensation and are resurrected unto everlasting life, well, what are the criteria? Will all animals go to heaven or just the ones we want to be there? Now, having said that, let's answer the 3 questions that I think guide our thoughts about heaven. The Bible appears to describe actual animals on the new earth. So the Bible hints maybe animals were created before the fall, so they're not innately sinful. God created an amazing array of birds and fish and animals so that we could appreciate him. Why would we think he won't have animals on the new earth for us to appreciate him there? Whether will there be a variety? Why wouldn't there be? It's not sinful for God to make a thunderstorm here. Why wouldn't we enjoy a thunderstorm there? Fellowship is going to be a huge part of heaven. You are going to be besties with billions of people. Worship. You're going to be worshiping with more joy than you ever imagined before. And if you have a really crummy voice, I don't know that God's going to let you sound like Pavarotti, but you're not going to care. You're going to sing from the heart, and the people surrounding you aren't going to go, ooh, why? Because it isn't a sin to not have perfect pitch. It's the heart of worship that matters. And in heaven, your heart is going to be fixated on the King who's worthy of worship. And that is what makes heaven heaven. Whatever it is that we're going to be doing, and I think it is a worthwhile endeavor to spend some time maybe talking less about politics here and start talking about God's governance there and what we're going to be enjoying, to set our mind on things above so that we can long for and look forward to spending heaven. Because what makes heaven heaven is that what has been faith will be sight. Discuss.
Hey,
Todd.
sweetie.
Take her around the block a few times?
Who's a good girl? You're not, because nobody does good. No, not one. Romans 5 says we're born in sin and iniquity, and our hearts are deceitful and wicked. You know that if you'd use the law, which brings about the knowledge of sin.
Olivia found herself afraid and confused with an unexpected pregnancy until she visited preborn network clinics. She saw her baby in the womb. She learned she was carrying a life, and she decided to choose life. Would you please consider supporting Preborn Network of Clinics at preborn.org/wretched, preborn.org/wretched.